Right, guys, morning. And right, we were up to 2019, and I was thinking about something's going to happen now. Before I decide if I want to talk about 2020 to 2023, which I don't think I will. There's no point other than to say, in this area, everything was okay. That's it. Um, I haven't got much more to add, but I've been here since now February 2020, and I managed to offload most of the property. Not all of it. I've still got some land and stuff, and this place, obviously. And this is going to be the keeper. This is going to be my last house, unless things change radically. You never say never, and never set things in stone. But like, if it stays like as it is here and Bulgaria, I think it's going to be okay. Um, this is where I'm going to stay. I may go to Serbia if the EU goes the wrong way, but I think it'll break up rather than go the wrong way, um, or change its structure, which you think might happen. Actually, we'll see. Anyway, so let's. I just wanted to say a few things about Bulgaria that maybe people don't really know. Now, it's benefited in the last 4 or 5 years or so, um, in a few ways that like were maybe sort of planned, not planned, but it's just happened to be for once in its history in the kind of right place at the right time, which it never has before, including 2008. Imagine you've just joined the EU, and like you think, oh well, things might get better now, and then the next year everything crashes in the EU and the world, and you think they must be thinking, oh God, I mean, when are we going to have any luck? Um, but anyway, they've learned since the 2008 and 2007. They've learned really how to play the good game in with the Brussels in Bulgaria. Because one of the big things that the EU, they love people, these poor periphery countries. They were gonna knock them into shape and bully them and all that. But like, it's it's easier said than done, because these people aren't stupid. You know what I mean? Uh, and they've learned to play the other way. So what they say is, every time there's legislation about, one good one was the coal plants, the coal power plants, and the UK and Germany, they would, oh, net zero, yeah, let's get rid of all the power that we need, and that's shot themselves in the foot then, because they don't get gas anymore. That's another story here, which Bulgaria still gets gas via Turkey. There's a hub, and there was the Nord Stream 1 and 2 that fed Germany, and then there was a South Stream, which was actually scuppered by the USA and the EU. They blackmailed Bulgaria, uh, so it wouldn't come in through Varna. So what happened was, it was half built, or half constructed at that time, and so they just took it straight past Bulgaria into the mainland part of Turkey, and made it what they called a hub. And all that meant was it was then Turkish gas, and then it was, there's another pipeline comes from Azerbaijan, and another one from somewhere else. So no one knows where the gas comes from in the hub, except the Turkish. And it's still running in from Russia. So, you know, you can put two and two together yourself, and then it actually comes through Bulgaria up to Serbia. And Bulgaria's still got, gas supplies, natural gas. So unless they cut it off from Turkey now, which it's all worked out, it's all worked out better. So there's the first thing. Bulgaria is still got the gas, but although they don't know where it's from, apart from it's from Turkey. So there you go. Everything's works out great. You prove where it's from. What are you going to do? So anyway, also during the conflict, there's a great big refinery in Burgas in Bulgaria, and the ships can still go from Bulgaria up to Russia and Georgia way. I think they take a wide berth around Crimea and that, and you can go near Sochi to places like that. And they actually got like an exemption of some kind from the EU, and they can go and get crude oil from there for the refinery in Burgas. So they don't have to go out to the Black Sea. It's only like a short run up to, Sochi around there. So that's another thing what they've got, which is energy security via, that produces all the diesel and petrol that Bulgaria needs. And I think probably have some surplus, but and they said they were sanctioning the place. It's called Lukoil. It's like Gazprom. It's another big energy company, Russian. And there's a lot of petrol stations actually in Bulgaria which have never closed. Lukoil, and there's a few Gazprom, but not as many as Lukoil. And so they pretended to put some sanctions and stuff onto the refinery, Lukoil, and they took some profits off them and stuff like that. But it's still going, and that's where they get all the diesel and petrol from now. There was a bit of a hike when the gas got cut off, and all the prices were going up. Which really, I don't know why they should have done it, because nothing changed. But they did. I think it was just the global oil price was putting all the diesel and petrol up, which is almost back to normal now. It's almost back to 2019 prices. Not quite. It's about 30 stattinky more. It was about two lev and 40 then. And now it's about 265. So it's not massively different like other places. I believe the UK is still high. So we're back, and even when it was hiked up, the government subsidised the petrol and the diesel and petrol. You could go into the petrol stations, and you just give in your little registration card document for the car when you were paying for your petrol, and you got like a load of money off, and it was substantial. I used to do that, and it was for anyone who could do it, and those that were bothered. And also the electricity was hiked up a little bit. and they subsidise that as well for domestic users. Anyway, so that's the energy. So we're all right for energy here. The electricity's never been that cheap. But bottled gas is all right. It's quite reasonable. I think it's about £14 a bottle, the small bottles. So, but I buy them anyway a year ahead, 2 years ahead. So that counters the inflation a little bit, though you've still got to pay for it. So that's the energy. Now the food is kind of about the same story. I mean, they'll do these things. They'll say, "Oh, just to go back to the coal plants, what Bulgaria did, which is they do with a lot of things. They just say, "Oh yeah, we'll sign up to that. We'll do that. Yeah, we'll destroy all our power plants. Oh yeah, we'll do what everyone else is doing," and then they don't, and they turn around when all the gas and all that was in question, and all the oil and everything. They said, "Oh well, things have changed now, so we're like unsigning up." And what they usually do as well is say like, "Oh yeah, well, we'll sign up to all that and this and that the other," and then they say, "Oh yeah, but we're poor. You keep telling us how poor we are and how poor these states are, so we're too poor to do that. So if you give us a load of money, we'll see what we can do. We'll see if we can do it." Like it's much the same as a lot of things. Like they're always on about corruption, aren't they? I mean, everyone thinks everything's corrupt and like the mafia and all this crap. You know what I mean? It does exist, of course. It does. Everywhere. Everywhere. They just have different names for it. So they said to Bulgaria that at the beginning of the European thing that you've got to get rid of all this corruption. And all they did was, for a couple of years, and then they reported back to the EU and said, "Right, we've done it. We've got rid of the corruption." I mean, how do you prove that they haven't? Because it's just hearsay anyway that it does exist, which it does. But they make a big thing of it, don't they? They love it. The Western Europeans, that it's everything's rife, and which it isn't really. It's just normal corruption. There's no more corrupt people than running the UK and the Brussels. They're corrupt with a capital C, and America. It's all corrupt. South America, Central America, you name it. Russia. So they went back and said, "Oh yeah, corruption's under control. We've done this, we've done that. It's done." I think they bumped off a few of the the well-known figures. Like there was the owner of Plovdiv Football Club and a few others, and they got removed. By who? Anyone's guess. But they said, "Yeah, it's all under control now." So the corruption and all that, we've done it. And they do the same with a lot of things. They just say, "Oh yeah, we've done this and we've done that. This is under control now." And it's going to be the same with the farming. It'll be exactly the same story. They'll say, "Yeah, we're doing this, we're doing that." Because they actually did the same again with the wheat coming from Ukraine. They said, "We've been flooded with wheat and we need compensation." And no one said where the wheat went. Nobody knows where it went. I don't know where it went. And they said, "Right, we need a load of money." They got a load of money for that. I think they got a load of money for the fuel as well, and a few other things. Every time they just say, "Oh, we're poor, so we need more money." I mean, there's the population here is tiny. It's a big country. It's the same size as England, right? With 7 million people, as opposed to 68 million. work that out on the population density, which is the next thing I'll talk about. Anyway, so that's what they do. They just say, well, we need some money now. And they get it. Boykov, Boris Boykov, was the former prime minister, and he was very good at securing funds from the EU, which were available. There was no, nothing underhand. But during his term, Bulgaria had the chair, and he did quite well, actually. I think the EU were quite pleased with them because they just do everything that they're told to do, and then don't do what they say they're going to do. That's the thing. And they're very good at it, these days, and they've just got it down to a T. And you know what's coming. I look at when the wheat thing was happening. I thought, like, 2 weeks later, you're going to hear that, like, Bulgaria have got a load of money for something to do with the wheat, and they did. And what they've also done is in Bulgaria, this was one of the places where they made a load of ammunition and arms for the old Soviet regime, and they still kept them kind of ticking over, and they've all and now they've produced all this ammo for Ukraine, and it's the ammo that they need for the older howitzers and all that, and tanks, and it's the right size, and because that's what it was for, these machines. And so what they do is they don't give it away, like all these, like, we're going to donate this to Ukraine and that. They sell it via the Czech Republic, and then it goes through Poland, and then into Ukraine. And like the arms, they were reporting on it, but they don't mention it anymore. So they've done well on that, I think, because they said the production was up by 800% or something. So they're obviously they're selling it. They're not like giving it away. They'll just say, "Oh, we're poor, we haven't got the means." But we've got the means, but we haven't got the funds to do it for free. So you'll have to pay us, which it's another revenue streak. So all these things are building up. The wheat, and so they've probably done better than anyone from the conflict, and then, but they'll do the other thing, like, they keep throwing the Russian diplomats out and taking Russian statues down to make it look as though they hate Russia, and like, and they're doing this and they're doing that, and they've got Lukoil there. They're selling all these weapons, and it's fantastic if you really think about it. And they're still getting the gas from wherever. Who knows where it's coming from? But it comes from Russia to Turkey, and then Turkey to here. So make up your own mind where it's coming from. But they've still got gas on tap. So there's that. Now, another good thing about Bulgaria is the fiscal policy, which came from actually the 96 crash, and then they were pegged to the Deutschmark and then the euro after that. But they had all these, it instigated all these banking laws where they had to be liquid and fiscally responsible and all that, and so were the government. And so they ended up not like Greece and Portugal and Ireland, who bankrupted themselves because they just borrowed cheap money from the ECB, which they had to pay back, and then the interest was hiked up and they couldn't pay it back, so they were all bankrupt, and then they just take all their assets off them. But Bulgaria never did that because they never joined the euro, and they still haven't, and they keep stalling that as well. That's yet to be resolved. I hope they don't join because it'll be a disaster. Um, they're on about doing a parallel, so they keep the lev, and they're also in the euro, so they have they have which would be good for them as well. Because you still have the control then of the money supply and stuff like that, and your interest rates, the national bank interest rate, you're not dictated to by the ECB. So let's see how they play that one. I'm sure that they'll, they'll do the thing that's best for Bulgaria. Hopefully, we'll see. Right, so we've got the population density. I mean, you see the amounts of money that they get, the payments from the EU and that. And they've only got us a little population, 7 million. There's not even as many people in the whole country as there is in London. And, even the biggest city, I think Sofia's around 2 million tops, I think. So, it's all manageable. And the roads are all done now, bar just a few. All on EU funding mostly, I believe. Our street here, that's an EU project. The sign's at the bottom of the road. This was done in about 2006, actually, just before the EU, which they were getting money to gear up. And our street was one of them. And there's a sign down the road. And so they get all this money from them as well. And right, so that's another plus. So we've got the energy, the food, like Bulgaria, but probably because of the population density is or can be food self sufficient. They've got enough food here. I think it's ranked number 7, and it's the top European country for food self sufficiency. I know France is pretty good as well. But yeah, so we've got food security, energy, so and then the debt to GDP ratio, which a lot of economists say that's the important one, is the second lowest in Europe, second to Estonia, and it's kind of even gone down in the last year or so. I think it's about 24% now, as opposed to like Greece and Ireland and the UK, Belgium. They're all like 100% plus, so that counts. It all counts. Everything, counts. And Bulgaria now has its own little economy, and they're dealing with more and more places like Turkey and more and more. And around the place, they're dealing with Greece and more than they were, and everything really. And I think it was a couple of years ago they actually went from an import deficit to an export surplus. Well, I think they've gone back again the other way now. I think they import more than they export, slightly, but it's not a lot. And that's only probably because they've got more money to buy things, so they importing more. So yeah, from what I see on the ground, they still call it the poorest place in Europe and all this. And there's, all I can see is all these cars driving around. And usually, my car's, it's not a wreck, but it's not the best car in little car parks. Let's put it that way. And at the weekend, they all come down from Sofia. And it's just a parade of like all these brand new cars, and they go up to the the spa hotels, loading it every weekend. So you're thinking, is it really poor? And the supermarkets full of people all the time, and the whole mood is lifted. It used to be quite grim here, but which I quite liked it then. Um, but it's now, it's there's a kind of a what they used to call in the UK a feel good factor, and there really is. That's what I see anyway. So they're the main things about Bulgaria, which seems to be of going the other way in the likes of the UK. They've got a list. What I've just read, sort of recited. They've got a list of things that are going badly. Like you name it. Energy, cost of living, rates, the death of the death of the high street. The spiraling debt. You name it. Immigration, uncontrolled, which we don't have here. No one will come here. They think it's so poor that they come straight through. They go straight through. They're missing a trick. All the immigrants, they're missing a trick. They should stay here. And you feel like, telling them, oh, you want to go all the way to Britain, thinking it's going to be great. And it isn't. And I've mentioned before in the other four parts about the weather here and stuff like that, which I love the seasons. We've got 4 seasons still, which is great. And so everything's good. So I'll wrap that up now, and I'm going to have a think about. I don't think I'm going to talk about 2020 to 23. So in part 6, I'll talk about maybe the present and the future. I'll point out a few more good things about Bulgaria, which there are many, and then we'll go from present then to maybe have a look at what might happen in the future or near future, which will be guesswork. But there we are, part 5 finished.